Hey there, my name's Curtis Lucas and you're watching Empire Building. So this is going to be a slightly different video than usual because there's a very important perspective that I needed to share with you. With the sudden surge in prices, I know that some of you have already been shaken loose and some of you have strongly considered selling, myself included. But I have something here that might help you see things differently. Bitcoin has provided an opportunity for early adopters to participate in a massive transfer of wealth, whether that be by adopting the currencies themselves or investing in the infrastructure like cryptocurrency mining companies like Riot Blockchain, Hive Blockchain, or Marathon Patent, and many others. Being early in this market means that as the masses arrive, the demand for these assets will transfer some of that wealth to you by way of raising the price of those assets. We all know that billionaires and institutions are now entering this market. And that's great, because that means some of that wealth will transfer to us. To highlight this, I am going to point to a video recently published by Sonny Decree, who I have been a subscriber of ever since 2017, and I highly recommend his channel.
I'm going to show you exactly why you should not be listening to what they say, but you should be looking at what they do. And this chart will prove exactly that. And what are they doing? Well, investors with more than 1 million worth of Bitcoin, they're getting more and more and more. Okay, so what I want to tell you guys is don't let them buy away your Bitcoin.
Now, while watching this, I realized he had made a mistake in his analysis. For starters, he was looking at the US dollar value of these wallets, when he should have been looking at the number of wallets with a high amount of Bitcoin. It only makes sense that the number of wallets with over $1 million would suddenly surge because the price of Bitcoin just surged past $20,000 US. The reason for this has all to do with mining. You see, you got to go back to Bitcoin's very beginning. In the very first cycle, the block reward was 50 Bitcoins for every block. So early miners had all received 50 Bitcoin every time they solved a block. And oftentimes, those addresses were only used once. This was a common practice back then. And it just so happens that 50 Bitcoin multiplied by 20,000 US dollars is $1 million. His viewers quickly pointed that out and he corrected himself the very next day before I even had a chance to finish making this video. But it still bothered me that he didn't take that further because there is a very important indicator that I found when I went looking for myself. The first thing I did was try to confirm the same data that Sonny presented in his video and found that the data was delayed by 1 year unless you upgrade your account to a tier 3 subscription for a fee. So I thought, okay, no problem. I'll invest in my channel to provide quality content for my viewers. How much? Okay, I'll just put that back there. Yeah. Okay, so maybe I'm not willing to fork out 10 grand for one video. Who do you think I am, Mr. Beast? Besides, I was interested in the Bitcoin data, not the US dollar data, which is what was going to indicate what we really wanted to see. For the record, getting a hold of this still cost me $348 for a 1-year subscription. And that was in US dollars. So after the exchange rate, I was out $456.61. So I hope you appreciate this. And don't ever say I never gave you anything. Merry Christmas. But there is a lot of good data on this website, and I'm going to make very good use of this for future videos. So make sure you subscribe to the channel so that you can benefit from my investment. So what did I find? Let's have a look. This is a graph of the number of wallets with more than 1,000 Bitcoin over time against the price of Bitcoin. Just to make it clear, 1,000 Bitcoin would be about $24 million. So yes, we are talking about very high net worth individuals here. I limited the scope of the graph to the run-up during the last bull run to illustrate the difference between how the rich think and behave compared to, let's just say, us poor people. In the run-up to the peak, these large holders were selling off into the hype until the bubble burst, and then they stopped selling, and they held until prices stabilized, and then they started to accumulate again. When the bottom fell out and fear was at a maximum, they were buying up everything they could. Remember, that this is showing the number of wallets over 1,000 Bitcoin. It does not tell us how much Bitcoin they actually bought, but you can imagine it was quite a bit. Throughout the rest of the transition period into the full-fledged bull run, up to all-time highs and beyond, they have been accumulating and accumulating. By comparison, if you look at the addresses with more than one Bitcoin, you can see strong direct correlations to the price movement, but you can also see that there hasn't been much accumulation over the last 6 months. In fact, if you looked at wallets with balances greater than 0.1 of a Bitcoin, then you can see a reduction in that number, indicating low balance holders were selling their Bitcoin near all-time highs. Who do you think was buying that Bitcoin? Billionaires want it, and it's still the early adopters who have it. This is the transfer of wealth that I'm talking about. 0.1 of a Bitcoin will be worth 100 grand, but these billionaires would have taken it off your hands for 2 cents on the dollar. Currently, there are about 18.5 million Bitcoin in existence. And if these 1% want to stay in the 1%, they're going to have to acquire the other 99. And they're already well underway. They know what they're doing. But we were here first. Andreas Antonopoulos had this to say on the matter.
And so here they come. The Wall Street billionaires, who now suddenly believe that this is something worthwhile. But they don't believe because they see the fairness protocol. They maybe believe because they see the monetary policy that creates, but they don't understand how that monetary policy is created and secured. They like the result, they don't understand the recipe. And what do we do in return? Do we question the principles? Do we reinforce the teachings? Do we try to understand the fairness protocol and expand its use to more systems? Unfortunately not. What we see many people do is applaud. Applaud the billionaires for finally figuring out what we've all known so far. Welcome them and listen to every word they say as if they're wise because they finally recognize the value of this system. Make no mistake, they have no idea what the value of this system is. They don't understand the fairness protocol behind it. All they understand is that somehow we've managed to make money and they want some of that. And here's the problem. They will abandon the principles of the fairness protocol they don't understand in order to achieve their real goal, which is simply piling on more money. So when you think that we have won by getting the approval of the bankers, of the large corporations, by getting PayPal to like us, you're missing a very, very important point. These same organizations that currently approve of the system as it exists today and don't understand the fairness protocol behind it will attempt to discard the fairness protocol.
I will say that this was inevitable, and I'm not so concerned that these billionaires would have any success in altering the protocol of Bitcoin. I don't think they would ever achieve consensus. But Andreas is right that we need to be paying attention to this, and also remembering what it was that was so important about this technology in the first place. It's easy to get caught up in the hype and sell just to buy some Lambo, when you could have used that to buy an asset that would continue to deliver you wealth. That is what I'm going to be promoting in this channel. What you really need to be asking yourself is who's buying when you're selling? Now, I'm talking about Bitcoin here, but this applies to mining stocks as well. And in some ways, even more so. The institutional players still really haven't arrived in these stocks. But they will, soon enough. Don't give them your shares. Let them scoop it up from the day traders and the weak hands. You know, the ones with the 2-week price targets. They will be willingly transferring their future wealth into the hands of millionaires and billionaires. Generally speaking, this is inevitable, even for some of you who are watching this video. It's hardwired into us. And it's ironic that it's greed that will actually prevent you from building real wealth. These mining stocks are unique and even more powerful for multiplying wealth, and they play a critical role in my plan for building my future empire. I plan on using them to provide me with the capital I need to build something that will be sustainable for myself. I will discuss that further in future videos, but long term, I know that it will involve the blockchain. And I, for one, will always make sure that I'm directly connected to that ecosystem. By this, I mean that I will run my business on the blockchain. Learning how to engage with it will present opportunities to you that others will miss. I don't know yet what that will be, but if you're not fully convinced that this future is a reality, then you shouldn't be invested in these stocks because you'd be missing the entire point. Mining companies will continue to be critical blockchain infrastructure, and nations around the world will want to make sure that they have a strong presence on the blockchain to make sure that they can't be made vulnerable by not participating. And if you don't understand what I just said, then you need to educate yourself. You should not be investing in these companies if you don't understand what mining is and why it's important. I'll cover that in a different video. Please don't make the mistake of thinking this is just a way for you to make a quick buck and buy some flashy new thing. This is a revolution that will transform your entire world right in front of your eyes. 10 years from now, you do not want to be one of those people who tell the story of how they owned a life-changing amount of Apple or Microsoft or Tesla, but then gave it up. Because what's happening here will dwarf that. Stick around and I'll do my best to open your eyes and give you that perspective that you need to see through all the noise that's going to be coming our way. I only ask for likes in return. I hope I have earned your subscription, and I hope you join me in the next one. Now, let's get back to empire building. Bye.